Welcome to the C# Programmer Zambia. In the previous video, we managed to create our data repeater component, which is going to be converting our data into a list from the database. Okay, so that our program, our application is able to read that data and display it on the screen. Now, in this video, we're going to be creating an API, which is going to be used to communicate with the database. Okay, so this API is going to contain all 4 CRUD operations, that are create, read, update, and delete. Okay, so we're going to be using 4 HTTP methods. Okay, so we're going to use the HttpDelete for deleting, the HttpPost for creating a new student, and the HttpPut for editing a student, and also the HttpGet for searching and also getting the list of all students. Okay, so in our server project, in the controllers folder, we're simply going to right click and we're going to say add a new class. So we're simply going to click class, and this time around we're going to name this class student controller or students controller. Okay, so students controller, like that. All right, and we're simply going to strike enter. So now we just have to start entering some code. Okay, let's just wait for the class to actually appear. Okay, so there it is, and stay tuned. All right, so API simply stands for Application Programming Interface, and in this case we're using our API to communicate with our database. So it's the one that is going to be requesting all the actions that we want. So if we want to get data from the database, it's the API that's going to do the work for us. If we want to insert some data into the database, it's the API. If we want to modify the data in the database, the API. If we want to delete, it's the API. So all the CRUD functions should be declared here in the API using some methods. Okay, so okay, let's just dive right straight into doing the work here. So here we're simply going to say API controller, because this is an API controller. All right, and we're simply going to say route. Okay, so route, we open our bracket there, we open our inverted commas, and we simply say API slash controller. Okay, now we're missing an assembly, we're missing a namespace there, so we simply just say show potential fixes. So we were missing using Microsoft.asp.NET Core MVC, because the API, I think the API class is inherited from MVC. Okay, so in this, after that, we're going to derive this class from the controller base class. Okay, so controller base, yeah, like that. And then let's just go ahead, let's just type the code the way, just make sure you just type everything correctly, everything that I'm showing you here. So underscore context. Okay, simply trying to instantiate public student controller app DB context. Okay, so the name of our DB context, and we say context there. All right, then thereafter, okay, we want something like that. Okay, so we're gonna say that context with an underscore equals this context here. All right, without an underscore, like that. Okay, now we're going to create our first method, our first method, which is the HttpPut. Okay, so we're simply okay, right there, yeah. So we're simply going to say the block brackets there, and we type HttpPut, just to make sure that's a capital HttpPut, like that. Yes, so I guess you can see. And inside there, we're simply going to say, so I'm about to explain what the HttpPut is. Let's just type this first. So sorry about that. Okay, so student, like that, ID. All right, so we have when we go to our shared project in the student class, we've got an ID, okay, which is called student ID. So let's go back to our controller. Now, what the HttpPut is that you know, the HttpPut is a method which requests that a certain entity, an enclosed entity, okay, so the one containing the particular student ID, should be stored in at the requested URL. Okay, so what happens here is if it finds that there is already some information, or let's say there is a resource at the URL which has been specified, it's going to take that as an update to that information. Okay, that's what the HTTP put is. So it can create a new resource at the server, or it can be used to update a resource at the server. So if you don't understand what I mean here, let's just go ahead, because we're going to understand when we actually see the system working. Okay, so public async task. Okay, so the student. Okay, so put, right, and there we just want okay, so we have a GUID as our ID, so we simply say GUID student ID. Okay, comma from body, yes, and we simply say student, and sorry about that, just student, yes, then we say std, yeah. So okay, so here I guess we can see we're having an error or some errors, so we can just hover over them. Now this error, show potential fixes. Okay, so we're supposed to use using learning Blazor.shared, because that's where our student class is. All right, so we simply do that, and I guess you can see only one error is left. Now put here also has an error. Let's just show the potential fixes for that. Okay, so here, oh, okay, so this error simply is waiting for us to retain something. So an asynchronous method, async, always has to have something that is being retained. Okay, so let's just do it in advance. Okay, no, let's just go step by step. So var edit. Okay, so let's type this. So wait, context, yes, dot student, yes, dot find async. Okay, and we're simply going to say student ID, right, like that, and we're going to put an if method. So here now we can retain, so we simply say want to return edit. Okay, so the moment we say return edit, I guess you can see that error is gone. Now here we want an if statement. So if edit is not equal to now, or no, whatever you pronounce it as. Okay, we're simply going to say edit dot first name, yes. So to make sure that you've done everything right, I guess you can see the suggestions automatically coming. Stud dot first name. All right, then we say edit again dot last name, space equals stud dot last name. Okay, great. Then edit dot program. Okay, equals std dot program, like that. Okay, so remember we had GUID, which is student ID, first name, last name, and program. So these are the only fields that we're going to be entering. We're not going to be entering the GUID because it's going to be automatically generated in the database. Okay, so let's go back to our controller. All right, and the last thing that we need to do here is we just put this statement await context dot save changes. Just save changes async. Okay, synchronous. Okay. So there we have our HTTP put method. Okay, so I explained briefly what the HTTP put method is doing, but if you're not satisfied with that, you can simply just look it up on the internet. Okay, so yeah, so that you gain a deeper understanding. All right, so there, now we're going to create our HTTP delete. Okay, so the HTTP delete simply deletes the resource at the specified URL. Okay, so we simply say HTTP delete where the student ID is. So we simply say that, like that, and student ID. All right, so something like that. So even here we've got to close this one. Okay, like that. Yes. Okay, then yeah, from there we can just continue and say, okay, public, create this method async task, the delete method, task, so sorry, student, yeah, student, okay, delete. All right, so delete GUID student ID. So I guess you can see this is the name of the method put, and then here is delete because it's the delete method that we're creating, and our curly braces. So okay, what should be the problem there? Show potential fixes. All right, so we have to install I think we have to install this package system.threading.tasks. Okay, so we simply just say find and install the latest version. Oh, sorry, my internet is not connected. So you're just going to make sure that you connect your device to the internet so that that error can be resolved. Okay, so we're simply going to say okay, and yeah, so let me just connect my device to the internet. Okay, so it's already connected now, and yeah, we just go for it now. So we simply say install the package, find and install the latest version. So it's just going to load for a few moments and it will be done, and our error is going to be resolved. All right, so I guess you can see even on top there we have a using system.threading.tasks there. Okay, so we don't really have to worry. Remember, this error simply means that as an async method we have to return something like the way we did here. Okay, so here we're going to create a variable called delete. Remember, here we called it edit. So in here we're going to call it delete. So var delete, excuse me, equals await. So there isn't really much of a difference. You simply say await again, context, we would have just copied and pasted that actually. So if you want, you can simply just copy that and put it there. Okay, like that, and you just change this to delete. All right, that's still the same thing. Okay, so thereafter we are returning delete, so return delete. Okay, and then here we need an if statement. Okay, so if delete is not equal to no, so if if delete is not no, then the following should be done. So we simply say context dot student dot remove. Okay, and we're going to call delete in there. Okay, delete, and then we're going to say await context dot save changes async, that one there. Okay, so I guess you can see that there are no issues. We can simply say Control Shift S to save everything, and you can also say Control Shift B to build, just to make sure that you don't have any errors so far. Okay, so these are the only lines of code that we've done so far. Let's continue to creating our HttpGet. Now let's start with the HttpPost. So HttpPost simply adds a resource to the server, okay, at the specified URL. Right, so it's kind of similar to the HTTP put, okay, but there is a difference. Okay, so we simply say HTTP post. All right, yes, that's the one that we want. And in this case, since we're adding a new resource, we're not really, creating our own student ID, so we're not going to pass student ID there. We're simply, this one is going to be just a little bit different. Okay, so let's start. Public async task. All right, and oh yeah, so task is that capital T there. Okay, so task, and inside there we're simply going to say I enumerable. All right, and we're going to have student, like that. Yes, that's student. Okay, then we're simply going to say post Malone. All right, and inside there we're going to say, okay, let's have some brackets. Let's do that in advance. Okay, and all right, so inside the brackets there we're going to have from body, okay, like that, and we're going to have student, okay, and we're going to say create. So we're creating a student now. Okay, so here we're simply going to say create dot student ID is equal to GUID. So we're creating a new student, which means we are actually creating a new student ID. Okay, so dot new GUID. That's the beauty of using GUID. Okay, so just like that, and then entity entry. All right, so that should give us an error, but it's all right. Student, okay, and we're simply going to say stud equals await and context dot student, okay, student dot add async, this time not find async but add async, like that, and we're going to say create. So yes, create like that, and we simply do that there. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so we don't need that there. Okay, now I guess you can see there is a problem here, but we can just hover over, then we say show potential fixes. All right, and yeah, we need this using statement using Microsoft Entity Framework core .change tracking. So we simply click there, and yeah, yes, we have it. So it's entity entry in camel case, so 2 capital letters EE there. Yeah, and we can continue from there. All right, so this time we're going to say await context dot save changes async. All right, remember we are using asynchronous methods here. Okay, so thereafter we're going to say return stud dot entity. All right, like that. Okay, so I think we should be done with our post method. Should there be a problem here? Okay, show potential fixes. All right, so we don't want to do that. Okay, so for that error, there was a mistake here. We don't need this I enumerable there. Okay, so let's just remove that and also that. So it's supposed to remain something like this. I guess you can see that. Okay, that I enumerable will be needed in our HttpGet method. Okay, where we're going to be searching for a student. Okay, so this time around, we're going to create our get method for searching. Okay, so HttpGet. Now the get method is not only used for searching. The get method is used to get it's used to read data. Okay, so it retrieves all the information from the requested URL. Okay, so there we simply say HttpGet, and this one is particularly for searching like that. Public async task. Okay, so this one is going to be I enumerable like that. I enumerable, and then okay, we need that. So student, and we simply say, all right, now get the student by their first name. So string string, we can simply say name there. Okay, and thereafter we can simply okay, do that, and we're simply going to say return, okay, await task dot factory, yes, factory dot start new. Okay, so yeah, we have it there. Sorry about that. Okay, start new, I enumerable, that in there, and inside there we're going to say student, and let's have another greater than symbol there. Okay, and this time around we're going to simply do that, and we open again there, and inside here we're simply going to say equals like that, and then we're going to say, okay, let's just create a space. So if string dot is null or empty, okay, and name there, then you should return context dot student. Okay, else, okay, so else should return context dot student, okay, dot where. All right, so we don't even need, you know, SQL anywhere in our code. X equals that x dot first name. Yeah, so we're just going to be searching by first name, or if we want, let's try to be searching by program. Okay, so let's say, okay, searching by program, and then in this case what we're going to have is okay, so after that, oops, sorry, that's what I click. All right, so let's just get rid of that. Let's just go back. Okay, so program dot contains and contains name. Oh, okay, so I wanted us to be, in the first place I wanted us to be searching using the first name, but anyway, we can also just search using the program. Okay, so maybe we can even change these to okay, anyway, name is fine, name is fine. So from there, what we're simply going to do is yeah, we're just going to terminate there, and we're going to also okay, did I open my if statement? Oh, we didn't close that brace there. Yeah, like that, and then we can terminate. Oh, not there, we're terminating here like that. So that should do it. Now we have some errors. That's supposed to be a capital. Okay, yes, like that, and everything has been sorted out apart from this one here. So what should be the problem here? Okay, so this return statement, let's just move it from here. Okay, so it's simply going to cut and we're going to put it there. That's where it's supposed to be. Okay, and then now we have another problem. Okay, so all right, this is the method. We simply do that. All right, so I guess you can see we've sorted out our error. It was just a problem with you know, my syntax and all that. Yeah, but I hope nothing was confusing. So here we want to search for the program. So when you type the name of the program that you're searching for, it's going to check whether that program is there in the database, and it's going to read, and it's going to retrieve all the information that is all the student names that are attached to that database, and it's going to return them on the screen. Okay, after we search, and now okay, so sorry about that. We're simply going to, okay, that's why the method was ending. Okay, now here we're also going to create an HttpGet method. Okay, and we're simply going to say student ID, like that, and thereafter we're simply going to say public, okay, async task, so task student in there. Okay, yes, and we're simply going to say get GUID ID. All right, and we're simply going to do that, and inside there we're simply going to say return await context dot student dot find async. All right, yeah, something like that, and we're simply going to say ID. Okay, and we're simply going to terminate there. All right, so we're actually done with creating our API. Hope that wasn't much of a hassle. Okay, so let's just say Control Shift S to save, and you can simply say Control Shift B to build your project. Okay, so just make sure your project looks your code looks like this. So let's start from the beginning up to line 23. Okay, up to here. I guess, I hope you've checked everything is okay. But anyway, since you're building, you're going to check to say, okay, everything is okay. So if it doesn't build, then there's just something wrong. You can simply just take some time and maybe look at the code, compare my code with yours and all that. But yeah, I guess there are no errors for any of us. So let's just say Control Shift S. Okay, yeah, we've already done that actually to save everything. And in the next video, we're now going to be creating our UI finally. Yeah, so if you want to finish the project, then yeah, you definitely have to visit the next video. Okay, so see you there.